I guess, Coach, after getting back to the team on Sunday, what was your message to them to try to reset their jaw a little bit and get them ready for? Should be another tough game.
Yeah, they're all tough games. This game will be no different than any other game we play in this league. It's very tough. Just told them, hey, we gotta go back to work. It's that easy. How you get better, how you fix things. You go back to work, and that's what we did today. It was a gritty, grindy day, and you were out there, so it was pretty tough. And it is what it is. I mean, we have to get better, and getting better isn't easy. So it's part of the deal. So.
Questions for Coach?
Yes.
Give us the injury
I've done the
report.
injury report. I can't tell you everything, but I will say that the 3 players, I believe, went down in the game. You won't. The 3 of them are probably doubtful for this week. Brandon Smith is done for the season. He'll have surgery, I think tomorrow. No, that's Wednesday. Thursday. He'll have, I think, surgery to repair a lower body injury on his leg. So he's done for the year. Very similar injury to our receiver last year, Dylan Lord. Yeah, very similar actually. But he's our best. Well, I think one of our better offensive linemen. He's a very athletic kid, and he's been coming on and getting better. And that was. Bad news on him, and then on the next play, Dan Sopkowitz went down the very next play, and then 2 plays, things changed very quickly for the Redbirds, and our best player went down. He'll be week to week, moving forward. It'll depend on. I think he had it for what for the situation he's in. I think was as good as news as he could have. It'll take, how long this will take it'll be week to week. That's just really all I can say. And it'll kind of go day to day, and we'll see how he responds to treatment and rehab and all that stuff. And was doing much better, but is not probably good enough to play this week. So, and then Jack is similar to that. He'll be week to week as we move forward. But unfortunately, was a bad 2 plays, and came in the first half and towards the end of the half, I believe, and it kind of affected things for a while. But we're back. We'll set our jaw, and we'll get the right guys on the field, and we'll set our plan and move forward. Can't pout. It's part of football, and unfortunately, some years you avoid it, some years you don't. And I was holding my breath this year. I thought we were having a better year that way, but. It changed real quickly in 2 plays because those are 2 really good players on offense for us. But we'll be fine. We got enough horses in the stable that we can ride and get out there and play.
Do you know what each of those injuries are?
I do. Really don't want to get into specifics right now because of when you put that out there, sometimes people are looking them up. You know what I'm saying? So. And plus, it's kind of privacy for the player, but it's more about protecting him from future if he gets on the field. So we'll just leave it at that. But maybe I can tell you, I whispered in your ear. But
how do you think that absence is going to affect you guys going into this weekend?
Dan Sopkowitz is going to affect us a lot. He's a really good player. In my opinion, the best player in the league offensively. I think he's really good. And hard to say that after the quarterback played last week, but he was really good. But one of the better players, I say. One of the better players at his position, let's put it that way. And but I think we have some guys that are coming on at that position. I really do. Maylander's has done some nice things. He can really run, and like him a lot. And we got some young receivers that are starting to take off, and I think they'll be just fine. I just would worry about you don't have the game experience. That's probably the biggest. And Jack would be like the same similar. Jack is an experienced player. He's played a lot of games, and he's been more of a special teams guy, but he's played a lot of football here. And it's when you lose a guy like that, it's tough, especially when it's a senior. But That's what makes it, difficult because of the experience. And he's really good. Yeah, he's a really good player.
Coach, what can you expect to see from South Dakota's offense under first year head coach Giants?
Well, if I were them, I'd run the ball a lot. They were, which I think they're really smart guys. I think they will. Their back is really good. He's a 5'9", 225-pound back, and he is. They lost their starter, I think, right? And they're kind of like us. They have good depth there, and we have good players in our backfield, I think, too. I think we've got some depth there, which is nice to have. And then that's a position you got to have it because they lost their guy, and we've got our guys banged up before, and they get hit a lot. And but they don't seem to stay stuck to him. They bounce off of him. He's a fire hydrant. You know what I mean? Really strong and tough, and he gets downhill. Like him a lot, and wish I didn't, but I do. He's a really good player, and he'll be a handful again on the ground. So we'll have to defend the run, and the quarterback is an experienced guy. He's a transfer from Iowa State, very good thrower. Had a great year last year. I know he's getting used to a new group of receivers, and they seem to be getting better every week. And he has a very good arm. He can throw it over your head. He can make all the throws, and he'll keep you in check because of his arm talent and of course his experience. He's another guy that's got experience in our league and took him to the semifinals last year. So good player. Yeah. So I think you'll see some of that. I think you'll see some shots down the field. I think you'll see, which is not anything unusual I haven't done before, and they'll push the ball down the field a little bit because he has a good arm, and they'll also run the football. And I don't. It's no other. It's either going to be a run or pass, right? So I didn't really tell you a whole lot. So, but they're pretty good at both of them. They're really good, running the football. I think. But I was thinking our league. Most of us are with the type of offenses we have. We're all going to try to establish the run, and with their guy, I don't know why they wouldn't. He's a really good player.
After watching the film last weekend, what was the one thing that jumped out at you that you wanted to most correct this week in practice?
That's a good question. Connections on our on some of our shot plays on offense. We think we left some plays out there on the field, and that was one. We were after the first series we kind of settled down up front, but we missed some of our counts in the box counts and early in the game, and that was something we really emphasized, and that was a little disappointing, but we were able to bounce back and get that corrected. But and that's always going to be you always have to have that, and it's just getting the right people on the field in those positions we talked about already. Those guys that are either banged up or aren't going to play. We have to, trying to get the right people on the field. So that was probably the biggest thing coming out of that game was trying to see who's the next man up and who's our best option. And we'll have options, plural, at those positions. So hopefully that'll help. But that's probably the one. Personnel is probably the most important thing. We get the right guys in the field first.
They've won 3 in a row. What are they doing now that they weren't doing earlier when they were 2 and 3 or whatever?
Well, I think obviously sometimes your opponents help that a little bit, maybe, but I don't think that's the case. As much as it is, I think they're just getting used to playing football with each other, and they lost some guys. The coach retired and a new coach, and when that happens now, it seems like everybody goes out the door, and I'm sure they had to replenish that with the transfer portal with some of that, and I think they're probably getting to figure out who they are and our new staff, and I think they're doing a good job. They're doing the things they should be doing, and they're very well coached, in my opinion, and they're gonna be just fine. But I would say that they're just more comfortable, with some of the things they're doing because they're more experienced playing together. Staff's been together now, and it's just a more cohesive operation, if you will, because it's they're a new staff. So
Oh,
good.
I was gonna say, following the loss last week, do you think going into this week there's a new mindset that the players are gonna have in order to come out successful over South
Oh,
Dakota?
I don't think it's any different than ever is. You know, we really emphasize the next game. And it's one game at a time. You know, I kind of opened up practice today. So there's only, you know, that it's about today. It's about getting better today. And you got to stay in the here and now. You can't get ahead of yourself. You know what's important right now, and what's important now is we had to have a good practice today and feel like we did that, and we'll come back tomorrow and have a better one tomorrow, and just take it one day at a time, and keep pounding away, you know, pounding on your craft, yeah, if you will, you know, just getting better every day, and it's boring. Being really good or great, whatever you want to call it, is boring, and because you do the same thing every day. And if you don't do that, you won't get any better at what you do. So anybody tells you it's real cool, sexy stuff, it's not. It's a grind. It's repetitive, and it's called repetitive learning. And you do it over and over and over and over, so it becomes second nature to you on Saturday. So that's what we have to do, and that's kind of where we're at. Got a good young team, but they're, you know, some guys are not quite ready yet, but they're getting better. So hopefully you'll see a jump here pretty soon.
Coach, you're about midway through the season. What are some of the lessons that you and the guys have sort of picked up through that first half and apply them to the second half of the season?
Well, we can't just think we're going to go out there and talk about playing really hard, which is, you know, I think our team does that. I don't think they lack effort, and you know, I think they understand that part of it. But executing within a system and executing, it's just more than just effort. It's also using, you know, playing smart, but executing your system. You know, it's whatever system you're in, and the best way. What I've been preaching to the team, that this is maybe asked your question before, is he asked me what, you know, things would, you know, I try to explain to him what mean. They got really into last year. We got playing for each other. Okay, well, what does that really mean? You know, what does that mean? I just go out and play as hard as I can and really hit guys really hard, and I hustle. That's part of it, yes. But the most important thing you can do to help your teammate is execute your job. Execute whatever that job is within the system. And then, so that system doesn't break down at your post. Does that make sense? So when football, you have some, not everybody has it, but there's someone in front of you, there's usually someone beside you, or someone behind you. And to make those guys better, and you want to play for those guys, well, you have to execute your part of that system, whatever the concept is. I went to explain that a couple weeks ago. Ted wouldn't understand that. So a linebacker, safety, and a corner working a coverage principle. I said, well, if this guy doesn't do what he's supposed to do, that guy is in trouble, and so is the guy behind him. Okay? And if the guy in front of him doesn't rush the passer and stay in his rush lane, then this guy has to come out of his coverage, and the whole thing falls apart. Okay? That's how you help your teammate. You have to execute the system, execute what's called, and do your job. And that's the most important part. I think some players, and it's really important. It's, you know, I say it all the time that effort is the number one skill in football. You know, effort is. I mean, that is the number one fundamental of football is effort, and it's usually that's any sport for that matter, or anything we do, right? It's effort, but it's got to be more than just that. It has to be your execution. You executing your job, what your responsibility is, and it makes it all. And then if you play at a high level when it comes to effort and toughness and all that stuff in your technique, then you're doing what you're trying to. You are helping your teammate, and that's when you play for teammates. That's what that means. So that's what we need to do. Real simple. Anything else?
Thanks, Coach.
All good.
Thanks, Coach.
Good.
Good luck.
Thank you.